Hi, this is Wes. I'm going to present how to create parametric diagrams using Cameo. This should be really interesting. And it's really utilizing some of the special features of NoMagic's Cameo. Pretty outstanding. Okay, so we're going to take a look quickly at the homework assignment for doing parametric diagrams. The next step will be updating your block diagrams for your current project. So you incorporate the constraint blocks and parametric information. And it utilizes this Cameo parametric equation wizard. Very cool. And then it'll instantly create your diagram and constraint blocks. And how do you build that? And then we'll do a little quick summary here. So here's lecture 27, what Dave briefed, where this is basically one equation where you're combining the scores. Here's some inputs, two inputs, score 1 and score 2, and then it's calculating a total score, um, which is really based on an average of the two. Okay, so it seems pretty simple. So we're going to try to avoid this mess here, so it's not quite this, even though this doesn't even represent this equation, but trying to explain how it can get messy. So let's try to keep it neat. So we'll take a look at the diagram in Cameo. This is the block diagram that I'm going to create for calculating the class score using these two related blocks where I'm going to keep input data and for combining the scores here, and then using here's the constraint blocks that are being created. We'll give them better names here, an example, and then it calculates a total score. Okay, so here's kind of the steps. Create your blocks related to the constraint values. Uh, Note that the value properties and types are added into the blocks. That's really kind of the main functionality here. And then we're going to use the equation wizard to actually create the parametric diagram. And once we get in there, we'll add some more constraint equations. Okay, so let's take a look here. So here's kind of an example of the parametric diagram that I'm going to create. So this actually has each one of these constraints is going to be represent kind of an equation, and here's your inputs and where it's coming from. So these yellow blocks represent are the blocks that we showed on the BDD. Okay. So this one is you can see I've added a little bit more complexity here because I'm showing three equations and where this information is coming from. So we'll kind of talk our way through it. So, okay, so let's do the demo here. Okay, so here I am back in Cameo. And so the goal here is to create this diagram and create this. So this is the IBD. So notice it's very similar because of the constraints. It looks very much like a parametric diagram because a parametric diagram really is an IBD of the constraint block. Okay, so let's do this. Let's start a new diagram here. I'm going to go to File, New Project. I'm going to go to SysML and go to OK. And we're going to create a new diagram here for this parametric model. Okay, right click on Model. We'll create a new package here for the class. Okay, and let's start right off by creating the BDD. So if you already have a block diagram here, so a block definition diagram here, and we're going to create. So here's BDD, block description diagram. Okay, and come down here to block, and we'll create the class scores. I guess I'll leave a space there. And we'll create using the direct composition here. We'll create grades block. Okay, and I'll come back here and create class scores. Okay, now I can make this a little neater here. I can come down here and do that. And I even hit this little button here so it kind of zooms it in. Okay, and you can always clean this up, this diagram, making sure nothing's selected, hitting that, and that'll kind of even make it a little neater. So here's the top. And next thing I'm going to do is create these values in here. So the main value, I want the combined scores here. So I'll just click on here. Here's a plus. I'm going to create these value properties. Okay. So here's combined scores. I'm going to colon and type real. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same here for the test score inputs. So these are all my values that I'm going to be using in my equation. Okay, here's value property. So here is my test score 1, maybe for the first assignment. Real. And then I can just hit the plus sign here. Test score 2. Real. Now, one of the kind of other shortcuts you can do here is here under grades, you see the block here, grades. So it's created this here. I can always do a Control C and come up here if I wanted to create some more and hit Control V, and it created number 3 for me. So, or 4, 5, 6, 7. So another little shortcut. Okay, so you notice it added these things in here. It crunched it up a little bit, so I can always come up here and have it reallocate the blocks here, so it's a little bit neater. Okay. Okay, so what am I missing here? My class, combined scores, I got my test scores, and then I've got a total score. So let's go over here and we'll put a total score here, hit the plus, and hit my value property. Okay, so each has a little box there. So for my class scores, this is going to be my total score. Real. Capitalize it. Okay, so if you notice over here, you can see the items here and the containment in the browser. Okay, let's give myself some more room. Okay, so let's now use the wizard. Do a right click in here. So I'm going to start this off at the top block that I created because these are all sub blocks here, so they should be included. Then we'll come down here to tools and parametric equation. Okay, opens this wizard here. And so here's the main block, and here's some of the related parameters. So I'm going to type in my first equation here. So let's see here. So my first equation here is going to calculate the average score, where I'm going to, or not the average score, the combined score. I'm going to first total up. Okay, so I'm going to say, and notice I've already defined combined scores here. So I'm going to go combine scores equals, and it's going to equal up to test score. Now you can see here, look in here, you can see what my variables are. Test score 1 plus test score 2 plus test score 3. I'm going to have 3 of them here, okay? And now this parse button is going to go look, okay? And the combined scores, combine, okay? So looks like I didn't spell that right, did I? Let's try that again. Okay, so it's just going to highlight. So let's hit OK. Okay, so I think I can just delete that out. Okay, so here's my first parametric diagram where the constraint block, and I can rename this. I go into properties here, type qualification name. So you want to call this, just call this combo. Okay, so that's the name of the constraint block. Okay, so it's basically taking 3 scores and it's adding them up and it's creating this combined scores. Okay. Okay, so that's your basic. So now the next step, let's calculate the average score for these 3 scores. So here I can go up to this little function button, parametric equation. Again, this is part of the equation. And I'm going to type in a new equation for average score. Average scores is equal to, so it is equal to the combined scores. Let's see, so that's divided by 3. And now I'm going to parse again. Okay, now see average scores. Okay, so average scores has not been defined yet, but that's okay. Okay, so so here's a new constraint. This is going to be the average, and I'm going to go up here to here and give it a name. Average. Okay, that name's the constraint block here. Okay, so here you're taking the combined, you're doing a calculation on combined scores divided by 3 is equal to this average score, which is right here. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to do, so there's my average. I'm going to create another function here. And this is going to be my total score. Is my total score is equal to combined. Should I have all this here? There's my test scores. Here's my total score. Okay, combined scores. Okay, and I'm going to add in a bonus factor here. So I'm just going to multiply this times 1.1. Okay, and I'm going to parse that. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so here what we did is so we added this new one using the total score. Okay, so I've got basically 3 equations. I do have this average available. I just haven't used it yet in these equations. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so that is your parametric diagram. Here's an example of creating more than one constraints in one parametric diagram. You can create 3 separate parametric diagrams if you want, if they're independent, but make them a little more complex. This is showing you that. So Let's see here. So let's do a quick summary here. So I'll go back here. Okay. So let's summarize here. You can go in and look up this YouTube video, MBSE Execution Intro to Parametric and Behavior Diagrams. Really good video. It goes into what we talked about it, but then it goes into the simulation plugin, which is really interesting. You can download it extra from the website. It gives you a 7-day trial license. If you need a longer one, let me know. I might be able to get you another longer license. So that's kind of the background. And then, so the steps here: create or update your blocks and your property values in your model. And those allow you to then select that block and select the parametric equation wizard to create these. Now you always can create a parametric diagram on its own. You don't have to use the wizard. But for simplicity, I would recommend using this. Okay, again, you would add the values. You can do them on the diagram, or you can use them, add them on like I did on the block diagram. And then add the appropriate amount of functions and equations. That's why the wizard is handy. It's because the wizard allows you to put the equation automatically. You can actually show that value too by adding it. So, okay, I think that's all we got for now. Thank you very much. Talk to you guys later.